All right, time now for us to bring in Mr. Sunil Gavaskar and Aakash Chopra into the show. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you both here together on NDTV. Mr. Gavaskar, if I could quickly come to you first. Now, any win, of course, is a great feeling for a captain and a team. But a win of this kind, the way that we saw in Vizag, gives that particular sense of satisfaction, perhaps, for the captain and the team, because it has been overall a good contest.
Yes, you're absolutely right, because it wasn't an easy win. The pitch was a good pitch. I mean, a pitch in the sense that where you could actually stick around even if you weren't able to score too many runs, and that meant that wicket taking was not easy. But how the bowlers bowled and made very good use of the DRS the second time around, after having misused the DRS in the first time around, was also a contributory factor to this win. So I think it's a very good win, because it was an overall team effort, though of course Virat Kohli with the bat dominated the others in the team.
Of course, we'll also talk about the particular players that Virat has praised after the match in just a bit. Aakash, to you now, what was the big highlight of the match for you? Because we saw 5 days of very good test cricket. On day 4, it looked like England had perhaps managed to turn the tables on India. Overall, what was the big highlight for you?
Allow me to pick a slightly maybe unpopular aspect of the game. I think the Indian fast bowlers, because this pitch was not tailor-made for faster bowlers, but they actually bowled with a lot of heart. They outpaced their opponents. They were consistently bowling at a faster pace and gave you crucial breakthroughs. When you're playing in these conditions, don't expect a fifer from your fast bowler. But if they can just continue to contribute, you know that you're always in the game. Whether it was Best's wicket in the first inning or the Joe Root in the second, I thought the contributed quite well.
All right, Mr. Gavaskar, talking about the highlights of the match, let's talk about a different aspect now, the big turning point of the game. Now, every game has maybe sometimes one, sometimes more than one turning points. Which day or which episode in this particular test match was the big turning point for you?
Well, I think the wicket of Alastair Cook yesterday in the evening towards the fag end of the day, that would have been the last over of the day. Because he was batting well, he was resisting stubbornly. He's the captain, and when you take the captain, if the captain of the team is a batsman, every opposition tries to get rid of the captain first, because that way you strike a blow against psychologically against the opposition. Yes, England have in Joe Root, Ben Stokes and Johnny Best, or very good batsmen to follow. But I think Cook's wicket, with the kind of experience that he had has in playing in India. The last time he was here, 300s he got, 3 magnificent hundreds he got. He got 100 in the first test at Rajkot. So I think that for me was the turning point.
Right. Also, Mr. Gavaskar, after the match and after the India win, the skipper Virat Kohli, he spoke about the big positives for him and his team, and he singled out the fast bowlers, as Aakash has mentioned. For him, a big positive for him also were the fast bowlers, so too for Virat, and also the debut, the kind of debut that Jayant Yadav made. According to you, sir, how impressive has this 26-year-old been, Jayant Yadav, in all 3 departments?
He's been very impressive. He's been very impressive because of the way he batted. He gave the impression that he belonged there. He gave the impression that it wasn't his first test. Then the way he fielded, and then I think in the second innings yesterday, when he added those 42 runs with Mohammad Shami, he gave Mohammad Shami his head. He told him, don't hit every ball, whichever is in your range and whichever is on your radar, you try and hit that ball. But that 42-run partnership, what it did was it helped India to go past the 400 mark as far as setting a target to England was concerned. Now, sometimes the difference between 390 and 400 is just 10 runs, but psychologically it can mean a lot. So I think Jayant Yadav's partnership with Mohammad Shami was very vital. And then the wicket today of Ben Stokes with a real beauty of a delivery. It was a dream delivery, not quite the ball of the century, but it was the kind of delivery where he had planned it. The first 2 deliveries were straight, almost on the same spot around the middle stump and going towards the leg stump. This one was on the middle stump, just turned enough to go past the outside edge, hit the top of Ben Stokes' off stump. Stokes was left, befuddled. He stood there at the crease for such a long time, and I think that actually showed that India has found a very good young cricketer.
Akash, India might have won this particular test, but the kind of fight that the English team have brought to the table, that really is not surprising, is it? But if you compare this particular English team with the one that toured India last in 2012-13, which one would you say is more potent? Because back then, of course, they had the likes of Graham Swan and Monty Panesar in their ranks.
You'll have to pick that team in 2012 because yes, they had Graham Swan, they had Monty Panesar, they had a 4-year younger James Anderson, and also they had a maverick in Kevin Peterson who could actually take the game away from you. So those people are not there anymore. Anderson, of course, is, but he's not the same force. Though he's bowled well, but he was far more potent in 2012. I think that team was much stronger, and your quality of spin or the lack of it eventually will get exposed in India. Rashid, Zafar and Sa can actually drop the so at 2012 will actually win this.
All right, Mr. Gavaskar, let me quickly take that same point over to you, sir. India, of course, 1-0 up, but 3 full test matches still to be played. And as Virat said after the match, what he would like to do is strike a balance, really, between not being complacent and yet not trying to look too desperate either. Because this English team, you can't take them lightly, can you, sir?
No, you can't. They certainly have a lot more experience. They've shown a lot more resilience than, say, New Zealand did about a month or two ago. And they certainly will give India a lot more to think about than New Zealand did after the first couple of test matches. So India is not going to find it easy. But I think Virat struck the right note. You don't have to start worrying too much about the next test. You won this test, enjoy it, savor it, but at the same time be aware of what you need to do to get your team all right and better for the rest of the test matches to follow. Chandigarh and Mohali, to me, represents the best chance for England to make a comeback, because that pitch has been known to favour seam bowlers. We are going to play there at the beginning of the winter, when it will be just a little bit cooler, where the ball might swing in the air at the start of the day's play and a little bit towards the end of the day's play. So I think if England utilise those conditions, they do have a chance to make a comeback. But once a side tastes blood, then it's very, very difficult. Having said that, England did exactly that in 2012-13 when it was a 4-test series. They lost the first test, but they came back for the others and they won it 2-1.
All right, let's talk about Virat Kohli now, gentlemen. And of course, whenever we talk about Virat, we have to now talk about the two different aspects, Virat the batsman and also Virat the captain when it comes to Test cricket. Akash, I want to talk to you about Virat the captain first and then go across to Mr. Gavaskar for Virat the batsman. As far as Virat's captaincy is concerned, of course, he's learning with every match, he's learning with every experience. He's now gone, 15 Test matches without a loss. I think the record is held by Mr. Gavaskar, who went 18 Test matches without a loss. But, if you look at Virat, what is it about him that makes people feel very reassured? Do you think it's his persona that I've got it under control, don't worry?
Well, a couple of things besides the persona as well, that he's more often than not calling the toss correctly. So he is getting that first advantage or use of the pitch, and it's huge in India. We all know most of his test matches have come in India, and then maybe a few in Sri Lanka and in the West Indies, nowhere else actually. So that is winning the toss, is winning half the match mostly. Obviously, he's getting all the runs. And in this particular series, you'd find that he's actually picked that side correctly. Against New Zealand, he was happy to play only 4 bowlers and 6 batsmen. But now he's happy to play 5 bowlers because he understands that English team has got a lot of depth in the batting department, and these are not dust bowls. You'll need to strengthen your bowling if you want to take 20 wickets. So these things have definitely gone in his favour, leading by example, getting the runs, setting that bar very high. But also just one small little thing that perhaps he can be more aggressive as well. That I was also mentioned earlier, that scope of improvement, everything better. I think get better at that.
All right, let's talk about Virat, the batsman now with Mr. Gavaskar. Mr. Gavaskar, he of course walked away with the Man of the Match award, scores of 167 and 81 in the 2 innings. You earlier told us and spoke about how he almost made batting look very easy in the Indian second innings when no other batsman managed to even cross 30. Again, going back to a point that has been made many times in the past, but I want to make it once again. It seems as if captaincy does not really affect Virat Kohli's batting, and that really speaks volumes about his temperament as well.
Oh yes, I think in fact he relishes the responsibility. He relishes being the person on whom the team depends on getting runs quickly and getting the team a big total. So I think he actually relishes that responsibility. And what is the big plus about his batting is his thinking. Yesterday when Stuart Broad was getting the leg cutter to go quite viciously, he was stepping down the pitch and converting what would have been a good length ball into a drivable and a boundary ball. Now that takes thinking. You just don't do it without applying your mind, without reading the situation, without assessing the pluses and minuses of going that way. And he does that, and he gets it right most of the time. No batsman will get it right every time. There will be a little bit of playing and missing. There will be a little bit of deliveries hitting you on the pads. But he's the kind of person who focuses on the next ball, doesn't think about the previous ball. And I think that is the key to his success, is that he's looking forward to the next ball. A lot of batsmen don't look forward to the next ball. They're looking for the end of the over where they can be at the non-striker's end. Virat Kohli wants to be at the striker's end every ball.
Right, of course, when it comes to Virat, he wants to be in the thick of things every time. Even when he's not batting, he of course wants to be there, involved in what's going on on the field. Mr. Gavaskar, Aakash Chopra, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Of course, the next test match will be played in Mohali, whereas Mr. Gavaskar rightly pointed out the conditions might just favor a big England fight back. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us on NDTV.